Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. A little while ago I showed some art supplies and things that I use, and one of the things I have intended to do is to start to show how I use things, what I use, and how things stand up to the use that I put them under. And one of the items I wanted to show was this. This is the Moleskine, however you want to say it, watercolor notebook. It's got 200 gram paper. It's cold press, and this is part of the art collection, so it's designed for, as it says, watercolor. It is a pretty sort of standard watercolor notebook. It's just smaller than a 5, 72 pages, 25% cotton fiber, cold pressed on both sides, acid free. Here's the dimensions there, 13 by 21 or 5 by 8¼ inches. It's got an expandable inner pocket, and the history of Moleskine is inside if that is what you're into. So I thought what I'd do is I would crack open this one and I would show just a few of the things on the paper that I use, a couple of inks and things like that. So not so much a review of the book, just going to look at how it performs with ink. Here we have the back page, and this is the first cold press page in the book. This is just like the pen pages. So we'll do all the tests here on this page. Just get that one out of the way. And see how we go. So first thing I'm going to do is the real simple one. First thing I will always do is I will sketch out. So I have just a Palomino black wing pencil here. So there we go. We'll do a little bit for an eraser test, and then a little like smudge test. So you can see that that will move around a bit. And for the eraser, I just have a, this is a very tried and true Faber-Castell dust-free eraser. I like them, they do the job for me. And you can see with very little effort, most of that is removed. So that's not a kneadable rubber eraser, that's just a basic everyday eraser. Most of my supplies that I use are everyday supplies. Now we have a Faber-Castell. This one is worn down a lot. I like them this way. This is a 9000 series 8B pencil. So once again, we'll do the eraser test, and let's do a little smudge test there. So yeah, it moves around a bit, not too much. So you could definitely do shading effects with this. And we'll just get the eraser back again. So even with that much softer lead, we're still getting pretty good, removal of it on this paper. That's now, next thing I would do is I would take a fountain pen. I have two here today. The one I normally use for sketching, which has Pelikan 4001 Black, which is the Muji fountain pen, and then just whatever else I had in my pocket, which is a TWSBI Classic with Diamine Kensington Blue. So all I'm going to do is just basically do a writing test with these. Oh, this might be running low on ink. I should have checked that. This paper is probably a bit rougher than most fountain pen users would appreciate, but it's not designed for fountain pen use, obviously. It is designed for sort of wet media. So it's a softer paper that says Muji fountain pen. You can't really read it. This is running low on ink. I'll show you with the other fountain pen I have here, the TWSBI. Which has ink in it, which helps. This is a medium nib. That you can write very comfortably on this paper. What you get is just a rougher experience. It's softer, it's got more grain, which works for some, doesn't work for others. So just plain simple writing test there. We'll look at the reverse of the page in a minute, but I'm just going to put a couple of other things down here now. I have a couple of, lots of Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. What have I got here? I've got terracotta and purple violet. And I'm just going to also do a layer effect in the middle there. So starting off from darker through to lighter shading. And then if we do a blend through, like these aren't colours you would naturally blend, but you can see there that the paper is picking up enough of the lead there. And you can see like it's because it is rough paper, it's not sort of going into the paper, it's sort of sitting on the surface, so you do get a bit of sort of white through in that. And then the last things I'm going to do is some ink and watercolour quick test. So I have a Robert Oster ink here, Tranquility, which I will do a little demonstration of with a glass dip pen, which is what I would normally use, is a glass dip pen with the ink, and then I will do my sketch. Whatever that sketch may be. And then I have a Diamine ink here, which is Eclipse, which is one of my favourite inks to sketch with, because it's not black, it's not blue, it's a really lovely colour, but it shades really nicely with water. And we'll do a similar thing just here with another glass dip pen. And then I just get a watercolour pen here, and I'm just going to shade through there. So we get some nice sort of movement of the ink. It feathers a little bit. That's sort of typical of this process. You'll see once it's dry how it sort of evens itself out. And with a much more saturated ink like Eclipse here, almost that sort of purple, which is just lovely. Really resaturates, gives lots of depth of colour. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is I have one of these Koh-i-Noor disc palettes of watercolour paints. And I'll just take a little bit of one of those for us. Quite a saturated sample. So what can we see on this front side? Firstly, as we said with the pencils, they erase really nicely. They leave a nice amount of sort of lead on the page, so you're getting a good sort of coverage. The fountain pens work well. The same thing goes for like fine liner pens, if you're thinking like micron pens and things like that. They do a similar sort of job. That one needs more ink. Definitely see that. Pencils look good, as I said, because there's a high grain on the paper. If like this is smoother, the end page here is smooth. If I drew on here with those, you'd get a much more even covering of the paper. The inks work really well in watercolor form, which is my main form of work on these books. I will sketch and then I'll move the ink around a bit to create effect. If you've seen my channel, you would have seen some of my animal portraits a little while back. And then watercolor performs really well, as you would expect. If you look at the reverse, as one would expect with sort of a high GSM watercolor paper, nothing comes through, no fountain pens come through, no water comes through. There is a slight buckle to the paper where we have applied water, once again to be expected. But generally I think this performs really nicely. So this is going to be a book I'm going to use for, as I said, my sort of sketching and those sorts of things, moving a bit of ink around, playing with a bit of ink. I think it performs nicely, and this is one of those products that I use in this respect. With things like the products I have literally shown you here today, a bit of ink, a bit of colouring pencil occasionally, but mostly water and ink. You can see how it sort of has separated some of the colour out, how it moves around, how it shades nicely. It's really nice. Watercolour paper is my favourite for this ink art sort of stuff that I do. So this is the Moleskine version of that. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @the_offstage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here or drop me an email, which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review, I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your art supplies and being creative and using your pens in interesting ways. Let me know what you use, show me what you do, find me, post stuff on Instagram, all that sort of thing. Let's share it around. In the meantime, I'll talk to you soon.